Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's show. In the wake of Tuesday's disaster, emergency crews and volunteers have been working day and night digging through rubble with their bare hands in search of trapped survivors. The second major earthquake to hit Mexico in 2 weeks came on the anniversary of the 1985 quake, which also devastated Mexico City, killing 5,000 people and destroying 10,000 homes. The magnitude 7.1 quake struck shortly after 1 p.m. local time on Tuesday the 19th of September, causing violent, prolonged shaking and flattened 27 buildings, sending masonry tumbling onto streets, crushing cars and people in Mexico City and its surrounding areas. The earthquake also triggered a mini eruption of Mexico's Popocatépetl volcano. On the slopes of the volcano, a church collapsed during mass, killing 15 people. President Enrique Peña Nieto visited the disaster site immediately and was besieged by desperate parents telling him that their children were missing from a local school, where 30 children are now reported to have perished. Since its impact on Tuesday, the death toll has risen to over 200 people as emergency crews and improvised citizen brigades have pulled more bodies from the rubble. In other news, the Ministry of Mobility has approved new private transportation legislation in Mexico City that will set stricter rules for privately operated passenger transport services, such as those offered by Uber and Cabyfy. The legislation bans multi-passenger travel for different routes in the same vehicle. According to the new regulations, operators must now contribute a 1.5% tax for each trip made to the Taxi, Mobility and Pedestrian Fund. It's a trust created in 2016 for users of taxis, and Uber contributed 70 million pesos as a retroactive payment. One of the most popular Uber app services that allowed different passengers to share a vehicle for different routes is now prohibited. According to the regulations, offenders who fail to respect these new laws will be liable to the sanction established in Article 258 of the law and will pay a fine of up to 8,482 pesos. Drivers will also have higher requirements. They must present the license plate and carry identification inside the vehicle visible to passengers, a requirement similar to that of taxi drivers. In addition, vehicles must have safety belts for all passengers, 4 doors, airbags, and vehicles must not be more than 10 years old. Moving on. During his presentation at the Forbes Business Forum, Coparmex President Gustavo de Hoyos said that the fight against corruption and impunity will be the central issues that need to be addressed in next year's presidential elections. He said that a decisive step to end corruption towards 2018 is to investigate and punish the purchase of votes and the diversion of public resources to finance electoral campaigns. He explained that, along with corruption, impunity is one of the main problems that is slowing down the development of Mexico, and it's imperative to prosecute and investigate public servants who extort. Last year, 561 out of every 10,000 businesses in Mexico reported being victims of an act of corruption or extortion. The president of Coparmex wants to combat corruption and impunity through tougher laws and stronger anti-corruption prosecution. During his speech, he said that society has become accustomed to the fact that the authorities don't investigate and pretend that nothing has happened, citing unfinished prosecutions ranging from the murdered Ayotzinapa students to government espionage. And finally, let's turn to the markets. The Mexican peso traded at 17.84 on Thursday, September the 21st. Historically, this currency reached an all-time high of 21.92 in January of 2017 and a record low of 0.01 in May of 1972. IPC Mexico increased 0.2% to 50,364 from 50,265 points in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. and log on to mexiconewsnetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.